Hello and welcome everybody to this Azure Synapse Espresso. My name is Thanos and today I'm going to show you how to create a landing zone and how to tap into an existing landing zone using Microsoft Fabric. Now, let's head over to a slide where we'll talk about the scenario about what we'll be tackling today. As you've seen in the previous videos, we're basically now going to show you how to get some data sources, either to shortcut or to load structured or unstructured data into a lakehouse. But having a lakehouse doesn't really mean that you're going to build an actual lakehouse. No, you can also use this sort of as a folder structure inside Microsoft Fabric. Now, let me just show you what happens if you create a lakehouse. Now, basically the OneLake structure and architecture, it's all built just upon on ADLS Gen2. And each workspace may be one or many ADLS Gen2 accounts, but basically underneath it's OneLake. It's just one lake that's a virtual layer across all of these different items you might have. So each workspace will be sort of a container, and inside that container you will have tables and files and links to the objects, the artifacts that you're creating. If you're creating a lakehouse, you'll create a lakehouse folder, warehouse will be a warehouse folder, and so on. So on. Now, so what I'm doing here today is I'm creating a lakehouse called landing zone, which basically is a logical structure inside my OneLake, which will allow me to place the files that I see as a landing zone inside that specific folder to actually sort of logically start structuring my data engineering solution that I'm building. I'm building sort of a lakehouse on top of Microsoft Fabric. Now, there's two ways of doing this. One is actually loading that data to the files portion, and then basically you can load whatever you want to load in there. Tables, however, as you can see them here, tables are actually physical tables that you can create, so delta tables or struct tables that you're going to create inside that lakehouse. So they're actually managed tables at that point in time. Now, files, you can actually load JPEGs, whatever you want, just to the files portion of it. Now, there's two ways of doing this. There's OneLake shortcuts, and there's the pipelines. Pipelines is basically loading that data actually to the files part and actually putting that data on that OneLake ADLS Gen2 accounts, storage accounts that are underneath it. Or you can create a shortcut, and a shortcut will basically just link data to your OneLake. It will show the data if you connect with Azure Storage as well. It shows the data like it is. However, it is just a redirect. So if you're connecting to OneLake using that storage export, it is just that link that's there. So you can actually see the data there, and even if you have option to manipulate the data there. However, it is not on OneLake itself. It's basically any action you're going to do is going to happen on that old ADLS Gen2 storage account. So you're reading from that basically the cost that you're going to put on that data that has been shortcut. That can be done to existing ADLS Gen2 and AWS S3 at this point in time. They can also both work at the files or table level. I'll show a bit later in a different video how to do that for the tables. So now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create first a pipeline that's going to move data to a landing zone. And we're actually going to take data from a SQL server, and Azure SQL actually, and move that data over to the files portion of our OneLake. After that, I'm going to tap into an existing landing zone that I've created. So let's say you've got an existing landing zone, you have all different sources that you're using with, for example, Azure Data Factory to load that data from Oracle, SQL, all those things into ADLS Gen2, and you would then like to already tap into that data without rewriting that full process. I'll show you how to do that with a shortcut. So let's dive into that. As you can see here, I'm in my Fabric homepage at fabric.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm first going to switch over to Synapse Data Engineering. So I can do it by clicking here, or I can click just here, Engineering. I want to switch to the right workspace, which is my Fabric special workspace, and I've created already a few things. One thing I created over here is that landing zone. And landing zone, as I showed you before, is just sort of a folder that's now inside that OneLake, basically to store all data that's coming in from different various sources that I want to store inside that folder structure. That's my landing zone. And what I'm going to do there, I'm going to load data there from SQLDB. As you can see, I already prepared sort of a data pipeline. Now, what does that data pipeline do? First thing I'm doing is I'm getting a bunch of secret tables, just basically a metadata fetch. I'm selecting from system tables where the table has to be sale, which means I'm loading one table called fact sale, and I'm just looping those tables that I'm getting in there for each loop, and then moving that using a copy data class. This is all very similar to whatever you do in Synapse pipelines or in Azure Data Factory pipelines. But there's one main difference if you're going to copy that data over. So let's dive into the copy data. There we go. So right here. So general source will all still stay the same, but however, destination changes. In destination, I can now just say, hey, load that to that lake house and load that to that landing zone lake house. And there's two ways you can load it there. You can either say to files or to tables. If you're going to load to tables, you're going to directly put that into a table. However, files allow you to just take any structured or unstructured data and just move that across. For example, CSV files that you have or JSON files or whatever, you can just move that across. And the other part just stays the same. As you can see over here, I've got that concatenation where I'm just building landing zone OneLake, item is, so the schema name, table name, and just loading that out. You might want to add, for example, load time or anything like that if you're doing incremental loading, just basically like you would build your landing zone out with Azure Data Factory. Now, it's one way to do it. So if we would go and look what I've done here, we will look at our landing zone over here. You can see under the files, I've got the landing zone, I've got effective, it's stale, and there I have that specific file that I created just a while ago. Now, let's say I want to tap into an existing lake. So I want to tap into existing data in the landing zone that I've already created. So I don't want to make that whole landing zone again. I just want to tap into what I've already got. How do you do that? You basically just right-click over here, new shortcut. Now I've got this data lake storage Gen2. I'm just going to click on it, and a few seconds it will load that prompt. And what I need to give in here, over here, is that specific URL I'm using. Note that there's DFS here. Make sure you use DFS. If you use block, it does block. I'll show you how I do that. So I'll basically just take that original one. So I've got a landing zone folder over here, which has some data in there. And I'll say create a new connection. I'm not going to use organization plan because this is not in my tenant, it's based across tenants in a different tenant. I'll use the account key just to make things easier for me. Paste that one in, and I'll name this account key access landing zone. So there we go. Next. And this is the error you get if you don't change to block. So let's go over here, go to DFS. Next. And now it does work. Now let's say this is my existing landing zone. And the subpath is the landing zone that I have here. Just make sure it's right. Go create. What now happens, it basically just starts linking in the existing data lake that I already have, that the landing zone I've created over there now exists over here. So as you can see over here, I've got a landing. I've got two different tables. Let's go to the roles tables. It's a JSON folder, which is been structured by day and then by hour. And as you can see over here, I can find those JSON files that I've created there. Now that basically shows you how you can actually tap into existing data, moving data either from a new source and pushing that into that landing zone layer that I've created in my Microsoft Fabric OneLake, or I can just tap into existing Azure Data Lake storage or Amazon AWS S3 or any other OneLake items I have there using that shortcut mechanism. So loading a landing zone or tapping into an existing one is really easy. So I've done this in about 5 minutes to show you how to actually tap into existing data. Now, if you have any questions about it, just write them in the comments. If this was the first time you're visiting our channel and you like the content, just make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, just give us a thumbs up. As always, from the Synapse Espresso team, Stan, thank you for watching. Bye.